At 5 o'clock. We still need one more. We have a quorum. All right. Now, the notice is hereby given that a called meeting of the Board of Adjustments and Appeals of Balcony Heights, Texas will be held Monday, July 28, 2025 at 5 p.m. at the Justice Center located at 3300 Hillcrest Drive, Balcony Heights, Texas, at which time the following subjects will be discussed, to wit, one, call to order, recording of quorum. We have a quorum. Business matters, the board will conduct a public hearing to hear citizens on the application submitted. And so at 5:02, public hearing is open. I would request that the applicant come forward. Ruben Romeo, step up to the pulpit, please, and discuss your plan. Please step forward up here. Okay. I didn't have the sheet in front of me about citizens to be heard. So do we have that? Okay, I don't have that in front of me. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. Do we want to do citizens to be heard first?
Right. So, citizen Rolando Guerrero, would you please come forward?
How you doing?
You state your name and address, please.
It's Rolando Herrera, 214 West Concord.
And what questions do you have concerning?
Well, the concerns that we have is just that from what I understood, that they were going to limit or lower the requirements for the build of the house from 10 feet to 5 feet. And it's already kind of a narrow area. So it just seemed like our concern is safety concern. And being that the houses are so close together, we have, fire issues, things like that. So it's more of a safety concern. I'm not really, I don't know too much about the information. I ran into one of the council members there today and they notified me about it. So I'm really here on short notice. But, I wanted to come speak and just voice my concerns. It's really more of a safety thing than anything. I know the neighbor on the other side, and we try to get a hold of her. Apparently she's out of town as well. And since it's going to affect us both, I think it would be fair for us to, to be involved with this.
Thank you for your concerns.
Mhm.
That's all the citizens that I have listed. So at this time, the applicant come forward. And citizens to be heard will now be closed at 5:11.
I have a presentation ready to go, and then afterwards I'll bring up the applicant. Michelle, can you bring it up, please? Great. Fantastic. Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. We're here with a request for a variance for the Board of Adjustments. Next slide, please. The applicant is Ruben Romero. The property is at 210 Concord Place. It is zoned R1. Currently, the vacant property is vacant. You can see the legal description, BCAP property ID that we have found through the County Appraisal District. This permit is listed under 7993, just for reference. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we're here as a variance request. The variance is on building height and setback regulations as the ordinance that it pertains to. So currently how our ordinance reads is a side setback minimum is 10 feet and a property lot minimum needs to be 10,000 square feet for any new construction or new build to take place on. Currently this lot is around 7,500 square feet. And so we would have to request a variance for a lot minimum change along with a 5-foot setback as opposed to 10-foot setback. there at the bottom of that last slide, you could see how the table reads through our ordinance as an R1. Next slide, please. Here you can see the site of 210 Concord. Currently, it is completely vacant. There are 2 trees present on the property, an entryway for a driveway, but there's no pre-existing structure for the past couple of years that I couldn't find, as well as an aerial view. Nothing present on the property. Next slide, please. So here is the proposed site plan that was given to me by the architect. So we are looking at like I said, variance of a side setback of 5 feet that we can see here, along with a variance on a minimum lot size. Next slide. Here are the more detailed plans for the proposed structure. Again, we can kind of see the setbacks, the square footage of the home. I'm not clear on the exact square footage, but once the applicant comes up, he can kind of clarify what the square footage of the house has to be. There is a minimum building size through our ordinance. So if there's any variation on the variance that is requested, this would have to be taken into consideration that if it alters any square footage of the home, that might be a future variance that will be requested. Just for comparison on lot sizes, I understand that we have some concerned residents. The lot to the right, the lot to the left, and most of those that are within the 200 square foot radius of homeowners that are notified, lot size is pretty comparable, pretty similar. Setbacks are shorter, if not the same size of 5 foot less, given to the property line. Next slide, please. And that is pretty basic information given on the variance request. If you have any questions for me regarding the property, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. If not, I'd be more than happy to pass it over to the architect.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On one side of the property, there are 2 trees that fall within the 5 feet. I want to know what you plan on doing with those 2 trees.
So I can pass it over to him as far as what happens with the trees. But I would just like to clarify what our ordinance states regarding trees. So most of the time, most circumstances, there is a permit required for tree trimming and tree cutting down. We did go to the site today to clarify what trees those would be. We identified that it is a variant of oak. Oak trees are not required to have a permit for any cutting or trimming, anything like that. So there is no necessary city permits that need to be pulled for those trees. But I would be more than happy to kind of pass that question along.
Know if he's going to cut them down or leave them.
Like, come up.
Yeah, so for, unfortunately in this, the project, because of the way the house is set back on the property and the trees, the way they're set on the property, we would like to cut them and replant, whatever trees are required to make up for those.
Have you looked into whether or not you need a permit to cut them, or if no, yes, whatever?
So there is no permit required for oak tree cutting.
I just wanted to ask him if he had looked into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question. I don't believe those are oak trees. Those look like mountain laurels. Is there a permit required for mountain laurels?
There is a permit required. So
Yeah.
anything besides an oak tree, there is a permit required for tree trimming or tree cutting.
I'm pretty positive those are mountain laurels. So
I would recommend, going into this, if this variance is approved, we go through an arborist, see what kind of trees these are that we can clarify a little further. But first glance, it appears to be oak, but it might be something, a different species.
As long as you look into that. Is there any other questions?
You did it get any notifications come back from either one of the neighbors that are directly next to them?
Yes, we received 4 responses. 3 are included in your packet. We received 1 additional one today. So we have 3 in favor, 1 opposed.
Which one was in the negative? Do you remember? What address?
Yes. I have it right here. I want to say it's 133 Concord. Yes, 133 Concord. It is not on the same block. It's a street over past Gentleman.
I was gonna say, I went out there and looked at it. The house on the left and the house on the right, they both already are at 5 foot distances or less. I talked to one of my friends who's a draftsman, and he said also, he said, this is the same code that San Antonio has. The only difference is the runoff on the rain and how they do the guttering and stuff like that, so that the water doesn't run off and go into the other person's, your neighbor's property. I think that would be a thing, but I think that's something that can be looked at and implemented into the drawing before it's built, the house is built. But I do think that's what I got.
Jimmy, I think Jack was next.
I've conveyed my concern to you and to Rose the other day that papers returned without an address or a name on them are moot to me. They just check yes and send it in. That's not a response to me. I see 1, 2, 3 that no responses. One person put their address. We have another gentleman that just came up, and I'm just now informed that you have another one that said no.
There's only one received that is written, returned back to the city as opposed to this. Now, I understand that there's been 2 that were received without a return address or an address listed as a property. There's only one resident that was given 2 different letters because they own 2 properties within that 200 square foot notice. So I believe I understand, or I know who that resident may be, but I understand the concern. But it has to be logged, who receives or who's opposed.
Are these just sent out general mail, or are they sent out certified mail?
General mail, general mail.
I make a motion, we table it and send them out, return receipt requested or certified. to get-
So the ordinance doesn't read that it has to be certified mail. It's just a 10-day notice. And it was given within that 10-day allotment for them to receive the notification. And within 2 or 3 business days of sending those out, which would have been last Monday, I believe, I was already receiving calls in favor or opposed, conversations over the phone. So not everybody was, unfortunately, not everybody was able to return their slip, but I did have conversations with plenty of residents in that area.
I too had conversations with, and they did not, evidently, I'm not saying y'all didn't send them out. I'm saying it either got thrown out in the junk mail thinking it was junk mail or whatever. But this isn't the true representation of people for it or against it. Thank you. That's all.
May I?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Just to kind of jump on what Jack was saying, I went out and spoke to the resident that's sitting down here. He was not aware of it until I made him aware of it. So obviously they didn't know. The other neighbor on the other side was not aware of it. I had to speak through a ring doorknob. She's out of town, but she wasn't aware of it. So even though it may not be code to send it out with certified mail, I think that we should contact those neighbors. If this gentleman is seeking for an adjustment, then we need to have the people that are going to be affected by it, which are going to be those neighbors on both sides, have their input. The people across the street, I'm sure they would love to see a new home in that lot, but they have huge setbacks between their property, so it doesn't affect them.
Michelle, can you bring up the PowerPoint, please?
Go ahead, Trish.
I was gonna say, I did go out there and I tried to talk to people, and I pushed the button on the doorbells, and like you said, the ring one, I thought I heard people in the house, but they didn't come to the door and answer, even though I did tell them I was from the city and I wanted to talk to them about the house, so.
I understand the concern for,
I'm going to read something.
okay.
And I'm getting this from the paperwork that each one of us have. It's before the 10th day, before the hearing, written notice of each public hearing before the Board of Adjustments on a request for variance shall be sent to each owner as indicated by the most recent approved municipal tax roll of real property within 200 feet of the property of which the request for variance is made. This notice shall be served by its deposit in the municipality properly addressed with postage paid in the United States mail. And with that said, it's not required to be certified. And yes,
A little history, I think might be helpful. When Gentleman Country Estates was formed, all the lots were scaled to 25-foot frontage. And my house has 3 lots. Lots 8, 9, and 10. I can't remember the block. But it gives me 75 feet. I have a 1/4 acre on my lot. The problem with this gentleman's lot and one other lot, I think Bobby's is the same thing, where it's a 50-foot front. For years, we've been trying to get people interested in building on those lots because they just sit there and nothing's happening. If you go in the city of San Antonio, and if somebody might be smarter than me and I'm looking at it, I think a lot of side lot lines are 5 feet, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
They are 5 feet. So the 5 feet side lot line doesn't bother me at all. The concern from my colleagues here at the dais that people haven't been notified is a valid concern. But I'm not worried about the 5 feet. I don't think that's an issue because it's a standard used by the city of San Antonio. Plus, we have a firehouse that's less than a 1/4 mile from this property. If there's a fire, our response time on a fire is about 2 minutes. So, I think we could knock down a fire real quick if we had one there. I think this is a great idea to build a property there and ask for a 5 feet side lot line because we have another lot on Bobby's. Somebody probably has come in and said, I want to build a house there, but they've run into the same situation. And I think we should take that into consideration. And that's all the comment I have. I think it's a great idea. I think 5 feet is not an issue. Thank you.
well, if there's no more questions, I'd like to read one more thing. And I'm reading from the paperwork that we have. It says, prior to granting a variance, the board shall find that at least one of these following shall be found. And I'm reading A, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular property in question because of its size, shape, topography. And I believe this applies. So with that said, now I'm going to leave it to the council to make a motion.
Your motion was to table. No one seconded. Okay. Well, I'll turn it back over to the presiding officer since you did make a motion to table.
I apologize for that. I didn't hear that motion. So do we have a second to table it?
A second.
Second.
And just for clarification, during the tabling, if it does pass, what would the Board of Adjustment like to see done during the tabling of the matter?
I would like to make sure that the adjacent neighbors have a say-so in this, and one of them took the time out on short notice to come up here, and the other one's out of town. Just to give their input.
Okay, just for clarification, just those two, or are there others? I want to make sure the staff gets clear direction.
Well, evidently, the only person within a 200-foot radius that I'm aware of was, forgive me, .203 Concord, which is on the other side, which has a big side setback on it. So I don't think they're concerned. But the people on that side of the block and maybe the ones that run in back of it should be notified. It is also considered impervious cover, and the water runoff from that home will affect those two properties.
I understand.
Not to mention.
Okay, the applicant is not requesting a variance from runoff or anything else, just the side setback. That's
Right.
the only thing that's before this board.
Right. And not to mention that, if I lived in one of those side houses and had the nice shade of those trees keeping my house cool, it's not their property, it's not their trees, but I'm sure they're going to have a say-so in it. So with that, I turn.
And by all rights, you have the opportunity to clarify your appeal. or your request. And we do have three in favor here and one against in person. Yeah. And technically, I believe
There is one
that may be in
one person again that did receive two.
It's a technical issue.
I have no comments about Mr. Burton's motion. You might want to pass it on.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have a vote?
Table.
The table. Tracy, your vote. We're gonna table it until we get, we're gonna table it until we get the addresses and a complete form filled out from neighbors.
I agree.
Jimmy?
Aye.
3-1. Ayes have it, so this is tabled until those forms are filled out.
Sounds good. Thank you.
5:25.
I can pick and roll
Need a motion to adjourn.
20 of these off.
Jack, need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
BOA is now adjourned. 5:22. BOA is adjourned. Thought I said that.